This is the day 2 recap of the Silva method that I took in Toronto. However, it's done. Now, my original plan was to live stream every night. On the Friday night, I got home and we had the neighbors over in the backyard for a barbecue because I had gone out to dinner with one of the attendees. She was visiting from Michigan. Well, she had to see a little bit of Toronto, so we went down to the Distillery District for dinner. By the time I got home, the fire was roaring in the back and all the neighbors were there. I went into live stream while my office backs right onto the backyard, and our house is not soundproof at all. So I'm like, I can't film with all this noise in the background, and it was late. And then the next night, a couple of us went out for dinner and we got home late. And then last night I was just done. I was just tired. I didn't care. I wasn't gonna live stream. So I got to sleep in. It's been a month I took the Silva method twice this month, and I tell you, it was really good because I feel like I really got it. This is the third time I'm taking it because I am in the process of becoming a Silva instructor, and what a difference taking it back to back, like a 2-week span. So I took it the 8th to 11th and the 22nd to 25th from 2 different teachers, and it was phenomenal. I feel like I really got into the groove of the Silva method. And so day 2, it was a slow start, and there was an opening discussion, and we were all talking about the previous day's experiences, which is good because you want to talk about your journey. And we were sharing successes, and people were surprising themselves with how quickly they were picking up some of the lessons and how intuitive they actually were. Because as I stated in the previous video, what you're doing is you're exercising the side of the brain you don't use very much comparatively. So for us left brain, I'm hugely left brain. It's taken me quite a while to get the right brain to kick in and start, working. It's like exercise. You don't just show up at a gym and start lifting 300 pounds. No, you start with, 1 pound weights, 5 pound weights, 10 pound weights. You build yourself up. It's the same with massaging the right side or the left side of your brain and getting the intuition to kick in. We had someone there that was extremely creative. He played piano, and he was learning to use his left side of the brain. So it's amazing how this stuff works. And Helene Hadsel said, life is a game, so play with it. Like, some people were like, well, I can't get this. I'm like, just try it, play with it. You don't know what's going to happen, just play with it. Because you don't know what's going to happen so you want to go through life saying, what if? What if I tried this? What if that happened? What if? It's a game. Right? There's no I was going to say there's no rules, but there is a book called If Life is a Game, Here Are the Rules, and they were based on the not the Sumerian tablets, Sumerian text. I don't know. I have it in Helene's book. She did the points to ponder, which were her interpretation of those texts. Anyway, so we did, like I said, we did a review of day 1, and then we talked about the Schumann resonance, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting that because I have taken it so far apart, and then with different teachers, you get different things out of it. And this is why we love nature. Again, I thought I've been inside learning for like a month, so it's a gorgeous day. And I'm going to be outside and we're going to enjoy the weather. This is why we like being out in nature, because the energy and the resonance, it just changes us. There's a documentary called Earthing. So if you go outside, stand with your bare feet on the ground and you will see a huge shift. In the last course I took, there was one fella that was actually getting nauseous while he meditated, and it was something that he was just having trouble with, so he ended up sitting on the ground or lying down on the ground for the meditations to control that. But I recommended he go and he stand on the earth in bare feet, or sit in the backyard in his chair in bare feet and meditate like that. Be literally grounded to Mother Earth. I'm out here in the garden. I have to show you what I'm facing. It's crazy. George told me not to put this here because he said, I don't think it'll grow very well. It's the biggest one. Where's the turn the camera? I have my reading glasses on. I'll flip camera. Okay, check this out. This is my, like, the tomato plant is crazy big. Like, look, it's going from here all the way over. Like, it's coming right onto the patio. I just picked a bunch. Like, this thing is massive. And, you know, that's why we like nature. Right? Everyone says, oh, I went camping this weekend. I feel so much better because you're with Mother Nature. It's why we like the water. It's why we like, you know, to be in the forest. We're bathed in all those ions, right? And it helps our brain match the earth. So part of what you're learning in the Silva method is to meditate and get your brain to match the earth without having to go in nature, because it's great now, but I live in Canada, so, you know, 4 months from now it's gonna be really cold and I won't be wanting to go outside. So meditation is the fastest and easiest way to get into alpha. So if you've taken the course at all, you know or seen the poster, you're in beta most of the time, and then alpha, and then theta, and then is it delta and then gamma, or is it gamma and then delta? There's theta. So he said the power is within, not out, right? It's more in than out. And then he talked about Nick Vulovic, I believe it's pronounced. He's the gentleman that was born without arms and legs, and he was very depressed for a very long time. And I believe there's a TED Talk, and he's quite an inspiration. He finally decided he'd had enough, and he switched his thinking. He's married with a family. So he decided he wasn't going to let perceived limitations stop him, you know, for whatever he had. We have a bee. There we go. And then we did Ho'oponopono exercise. You may have read Joe Vitale's book Zero Limits. It's all about Ho'oponopono, and the idea is you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it's all internal. So you heal yourself, you heal the outside. So I highly recommend Zero Limits by Joe Vitale if you haven't read it yet. So he said there's so much energy in your body, which was, I found fascinating, because I've been driving. I don't stay close to the event. It's only 45 minutes away from my house, so I sleep at home. But I love podcasts, and there's one called it's by Wendy Garrett. It's called Wendy's Coffee House, and she had Ed Edwards on. Now Ed is spelled EDD, and he talked about energy and energy healings and how he plays with energy, and it was fascinating. And then immediately after, Stephen was talking about how much energy we had in our body. What? No, if you're wondering, I'm reading off my notes down here. I have this, you know, I like the binders because then I can flip the pages right over, the ringed notebooks. So I highly recommend going and following Wendy Garrett and Wendy's Coffee House. She wrote Talking to Nightlights. Great book. Highly recommend that too. So then we did a review of the formula techniques. You know, the sleep technique, awake technique, different things like that. And he reminded us, when we focus on the techniques, you look at the current situation. What do I want? how will I get it, and then take an action. So those are the 4 steps when you're doing any of the formulas within the Silva method. And he said this makes sense. Left brain is I, and the right brain is we. So I'm a triple Capricorn. One of my friends, she's an astrologer, and she calls me Earth Girl because I have so much Earth in my chart. Matched with air, I might add. I'm a Gemini rising. Yes, the comment here says, I always like to take action. One of my favorite quotes is by Jack Canfield, and he says, the universe rewards action. The universe rewards action. It's a great quote. So you want to take negative thoughts to better thoughts, not necessarily positive thoughts or those types of things, because you don't want whatever you're talking about to sound like hooey. Right? You don't want your subconscious mind to go, that's not true. You want it to go, oh, I can do a better thought. That's why Jose likes Emilie Coulier's work, better and better and better. So it's like an iceberg. Your brain is like an iceberg, right? We're only aware 10% of the conscious thoughts, and then 90% of our thoughts are subconscious, and we aren't even aware of them. So you want to refresh those. And then he did a reminder of the math teacher's success, where she got the students to change their thoughts on how they perceived math, and when they, even if it was a neutral thought like, yeah, okay, math is okay, it didn't have to be great, they had success. And then he reminded us of Annabella's story, and then we did the glass of water technique. If you're not familiar with that, I have my cup of tea here. It is the afternoon. When you hold your water, you don't want your fingers, see if I can do it like this. You don't want your fingers to touch. You want the energy to go through your hands and into the water. You see, I don't know if I can twist my hand. So you're just holding it. And so you'll have the glass and you'll drink half of it before bed, and then you'll drink half of it after. Because everything we need is inside of us. We just have to allow it. Right? So then he talked about peace, and everybody's seeking peace in their lives, and so you're going to start to embody your future self, right? Like rich girl energy. I wrote that was a note. He did not talk about rich girl energy, but there is only the present moment, and you can only change now. You can't change the past, and you can't change the future because it hasn't happened yet. But if you change your energy now, the future will change. So I want to grow my business and my income so I have more security, I can continue to grow, I have more choices, I have freedom to do what I want to do, what I need to do, when I can do it. And then I have the purchasing power for my needs, like housing and food and transportation. And then my wants, like vacations or attending seminars, things like that. What is my ideal place of relaxation? For me, it's always the beach. I love the beach. But I will take a good deck chair on a patio by a fire any day too. And we can, now I never thought of this, and this is like the 3rd time I've fully taken the Silva method, separate from all the times I've assisted. And you can have multiple ideal places of relaxation. So this time you feel like being at the beach, next time you feel like being at the ski chalet. You can have more than one place. Who knew? So I said my 2, like I just stated, beach, all inclusive, in front of a fire camping. Two best places. Then we did a review of the formula for meditation. So I put here, for my own notes, check SLSSI book, which is Silva Life Systems Silva Instructor Manual, because like I said, I'm in the process, so I've taken the courses. Hang on, I'm just going to get a little more comfortable here, stretch my leg out. I've got the books that you get when you take the course, which I got from the first time I took it. And then when I signed up for the instructor training, I got the instructor manuals. So, of course, the instructor manuals are a little different than the books given to the students. So I need to reference some of that stuff for myself. I currently don't have any plans to teach like Ken or Steven. But I have learned to never say never, because when you say that, the universe just laughs at you. Imagination. Then he liked, there was a lot of quotes throughout. So imagination is more important than knowledge, and that was Einstein. And he didn't put this story in, but it reminded me of the Disney Imagineers, there was a freak snowstorm in Florida, and one of the Imagineers was on his way to work, and he saw an alligator slide down like a little hill on the snow, and he thought, oh my God, wouldn't it be awesome if we could ski in Florida? Now, one of the things that Disney does is they don't say no. So he goes to work and he says, how do we have a ski resort in Florida? Nobody says, well, that's a stupid idea. They go, I wonder how we can have a ski resort in Florida. So they will put together all the resources and see how they can do it. They couldn't figure it out unless they did something like they do in Dubai, where they have a completely enclosed building. Instead, they ended up with Blizzard Beach, which is the water park that looks like a ski resort. And that was from what they started. So they started out with, how do we ski in Florida? And they decided that wasn't going to work, so they pivoted. But they still have something themed that way. So that's what's really cool about Disney. They never say, well, that's stupid, or that's impossible in Florida, or no, how can we do this? And it might not work, or it might have to morph, but they never say no, because you never know what'll come out of it when you start pulling on that thread. So when you have those ideas in your life, you think, well, I want to do this. Well, that's just crazy. And then you start putting yourself, no, how could I do that? Or is that a path I want to follow? Let me start pulling on this thread and see where it goes. Right? Don't shut yourself off. Then we reviewed, this is where he taught us the 3 fingers technique. And I kind of understood it, but I really got it this time. It's an anchoring technique. That's what I had been missing the first 2 times, is that you need to, you use it to anchor. It doesn't do anything in itself, but just trigger you back to alpha. So it's a quick way to get to alpha when you're in a situation where you can't stop and close your eyes and do the breathing exercises and bring yourself down into alpha. If you're in a meeting or in a conversation, you can't really just turn around and go to alpha. Say, hold on, I'm just going to go into my meditative state. That's not going to work. So you can just do the 3-finger technique, and you can even put it in a pocket or behind your back. You don't have to let people see it. So it's basically a replacement for the 3-to-1 method. And there's also the 5-finger technique, where you have, so this is 3, and then 5 is when you have the hands down. Now, each of the fingers, so the thumb is your physical, this is your mental, this is your spiritual, this is your emotional, and this is your intuition. So those are the 5 fingers, and that's what they each represent. So it helps you quickly center yourself in any situation before you take action. Right? You want to do it before you take action, and it's super subtle. It's super subtle. And then we had a testimonial from one of the students on that. And then I put, these are my personal notes in here that I added in. So there's one of the fellas on TikTok that I love following is the Aspiring Alchemist. He's brilliant. I've actually interviewed him. I really need to interview him again. But he reminded us, I just saw a video, see, it's all synchronicity, that what you're seeing today is echoes of the past. So people look out into their 3D and go, this isn't what I wanted. I've been thinking all these new thoughts, and yet I'm still seeing this, whatever this is for them. But you have to remember, this is from yesterday or the day before, 10 years ago. So you have to give the new thoughts a chance to formulate. So you're like, oh, okay. Still you can look around, still residuals from past thinking. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Wonder when it'll actually start appearing, like how fast is it going to kick in. So I said, what will my life look like? So I'm taking Ken's challenge and I'm meditating every day. And I've actually started to mark it on my calendar to keep myself accountable. And then this week, my freeze on my gym membership comes off because I had to freeze it for a month and you can't take it off any sooner. So I froze it for a month and then I'm going to get back into that. So every day I'm going to check off exercise because I found I'm actually more productive when I stop and exercise. Take time out of my day for me really helps me with my energy and my mental state. And I mix it up. I used to exercise every day at home, but I don't do that anymore. I don't have the gumption for that. I like going to the gym. I like being around other people. Maybe it's because I work from home for so long that it gets me out of the house. So I do, Aquafit and body pump, and I do the hot yoga. I'm so looking forward to the hot yoga. I did a lot of sitting this month in classes and at the convention. Even though in Vegas we still managed to get in 25,000 steps a day on top of all the sitting, but there's nothing like the stretching. So I've been marking that, and I'm going to be focusing on my next project. This week is catch-up week, and then I'm finishing Prizes Everywhere. That's my number one goal. See if I can finish it by the end of September. I don't know. Maybe, but it will be out this year. So just again, today's actions echo into the future. Don't look at the 3D as today is from yesterday's choices. Might not literally be yesterday's choices, but it's echoing forward. Life can be far better than I imagined. Right? So you don't want to also limit life to your imagination, because what if the universe has a better plan? I highly recommend Green Lights. He talked about all the green lights you get in life, and I'm like, oh, that's a great biography by Matthew McConaughey. I listened to it on Audible. I do like to read a lot, but sometimes when somebody's voice is fantastic, I'll get the Audible edition. So I listen to Green Lights. I also listen to Dave Grohl's biography. Fantastic. I can't remember the title of that one. And then because I've been so busy, I paused my Audible subscription, but when I get back to it, I'll listen to others. But I think it's really nice when the author does their own. It's why I did all Helene's, but I will be hiring a male actor to do Tags, because I think Tag was such a big man with a deep voice that I won't do him justice, and I think it would sound better if a man narrated his book. And then his wife Judith's books, because I've already done Helene's. We're going to get my friend and editor. She does a lot of editing and layout and things for me for my books. She's always wanted to narrate. She has a beautiful voice. So I said, why don't you be Judith's voice when we get to Judith's books? And so that'll be nice. A real trick is to stay in balance between beta and alpha, which is interesting. We did a review of the mental screen and a review of the memory pegs, and then now take those two and add in the 3-finger technique. So you can see how each day and each technique is building upon the other. Oh no, what did I write here? This is a cryptic note. It says, talking about the book, who has read it? Small font. I have no idea what that means. That's not good. And your current life is a mirror of your mind, right? And I really like Robert Edward Grant. If you haven't followed him, he talks about how we live in a U-inverse. I highly recommend you just Google him on YouTube and watch some of his interviews. But he talks about how we're a U-inverse, so everything, literally everything, is you pushed out. And some people don't like to hear that because they go, all this crap is me? Yeah, it is. And then we talked about some examples of Mirror the Mind. So Meghan Markle used to play as a child princess mode, and she literally stayed in princess energy. She even took actions that would support what a princess would do. Like she would support causes, advocate for minorities, things like actually like what her mother would have been her mother-in-law Diana did. And so she was really embodying those. And then she married a prince. And then sometimes you get to a place and it turns out not to be what you thought. So clearly royal life wasn't what they thought. I'm guessing Harry was already sick of the toxicity in his family, and that they left. They're like, okay, we're gonna go create a new thing. President Zelensky of the Ukraine, he played a president on a sitcom and then ran in real life and then really became the president. So he played the president and then he became the president, which is, you know, he was already embodying that presidential energy. And Stephen, teaching the class, he told us about the time he was visualizing the perfect job. He was doing all of the Silva meditations, and he visualized the perfect job, and he described all the things he wanted, and he actually got it. He remembers walking into the office, and it was just, he wanted a corner area, he wanted light, he wanted this, he wanted that, and then it turned out not to be what he wanted at all. And so then as he worked through that, he said, what do I really want? And he said it wanted to him being appreciated. So he turned around and started looking for something else. There was a handout, and he took Carolyn Deals. You might want to look her up. And he turned it into a spreadsheet into a sheet, sorry, for us to work on. And I forgot to bring it out here to show you. And then on the back, he had it the same. So the example he did when he filled out that sheet was him and his wife loved the beach area of Toronto, and they would always go down there, and they would hang around the shops, go to restaurants, you know, do their groceries there, and they couldn't find a house. I mean, it's a very sought out after area. And they were always looking at real estate, seeing what they could find. Hang on here. What do we got? Excuse me. I just muted the microphone for there a second. I don't know why I'm so phlegmy all of a sudden. Maybe all the pollen in the air from sitting outside. They kept going around, and they ended up finding an apartment in the area that they ended up buying, and it ended up being more like a cottage, and it was exactly what they wanted. So they didn't end up buying a house, they bought an apartment, like a condo, and it was perfect. It was exactly what they wanted. So they just trust the process that what they wanted would appear, and it did. So it wasn't a house, it was an apartment. Now, you could say, well, they didn't get what they wanted. Well, no, they got what they really wanted, but didn't know. That's the trick. So you have to trust the process of manifestation. And he talked about it being energy, like energy. I don't know if you can, like, how cute. I put a little smiley face there. And then we talked about our personal goals, goal setting, our expectations. He liked using Elon Musk's examples. Now, I thought this was fascinating, and I didn't know this part, but he talked about Elon does 1,000-year goals, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy, but why not? It's only as crazy as you let it be. And he said, he gave the example of him and his dad working together once COVID shut everything down, and he said everything changed and the relationship changed, and then he saw how his goals were being mirrored back to him again, the U inverse. So then we talked about Betty Perry. She's a Silva instructor, so they gave her testimonial. She had a stroke and found the Silva method and slowly healed herself. And then there was a testimonial. We talked about David, who has actually been on some of the Silva grad calls that we do as part of attending Stephen's classes. Now, David had a very hard path. He saw his children killed. They were playing, and a drunk driver just left the road and plowed into his children playing, and there was blood everywhere. He did not deal with it very well at all, even though he was a Silva graduate at that point. He'd taken it from Jose himself. He literally went into his house, painted all the windows black, and didn't leave for a year. He was very depressed. People would bring him food. Like, he just did not go away. He did not go out. He just stayed in the house. And then one day, he had a dream where his children were now grown up and came to him and said, "We're okay. You need to get on with your life now." And so he cleaned his windows. He was a nurse by trade, so he went back to the hospital where he worked, and the only thing they had was hospice, and so he took it and he loved it. And then about 6 months ago, he had a massive stroke, and the only thing he could do is just lie there, and he was in a lot of pain, so he started doing the long relax. Some people call it the centering exercise, and he just did that over and over, and within 3 weeks he was he had like 75% of his mobility back, and he was released from the hospital. They couldn't believe how quickly he healed. And one of the exercises he did was a projection exercise, where you imagine yourself in your body or into anything organic, and so he pictured himself in his body going through the blood vessels and looking for what had caused the stroke, and he found a clot, and he appreciated and loved the clot, and then kindly asked it to leave because it was causing a lot of problems, and it did. And now he's almost 100%. Olympic athletes do this. We just had the Olympics, and if you listen to a lot of them, or you watch them before they participate in their event, you will see them sit quiet with their eyes closed. They're envisioning their success, right? So when you do mental practice and combine it with physical effort, you get exponentially better. So Stephen is Hungarian, and he gave this example of this kid he knew in Hungary. In the 1990s, this kid wanted to participate in a marathon in Hawaii. Well, that wasn't going to happen. Like, everyone would be like, well, that's crazy. It costs so much money. It's not a realistic dream. But it was, because he's now a Silva instructor, of course. His name, I don't have his name, but what he did is he kept visualizing himself winning he was the youngest person to win the Hawaii Marathon in his age category. Oh, look at this. Someone left a comment. "I restored the use of my arm by working out in my mind alone, and then I was able to do it in real life." Yes, 100%. And people might say, well, that's not true, you're lying. No, it is absolutely true. There's so many testimonials like yours. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Sorry, I can't read your name. I'm out in the sunshine. Everything is bright and glary. But it's really enjoyable because it's going to be cold soon, so I'm absorbing every moment of beautiful sunshine and heat as I can. So he wanted to participate in a marathon, and he just kept envisioning it, and he kept talking to people about it, and he got sponsors, and he got donations, and he did it. He flew over to Hawaii, and he won. And then there was another Silva. Hungary actually has like one of the highest instances of people taking the Silva method. I've been watching autumn films and changed my phone wallpaper to autumn. Shame on you. I'm only laughing because my favorite season is summer. I will take heat any day of the year, even when people go, it's too hot. I will never complain. I will only complain all winter because it's too cold. I don't like the cold. I like to be warm. I'd rather sit and sweat than freeze. the convention that I went to was in Las Vegas. It was 115. Everybody whined. You came outside. It felt like you walked into an oven. I was so happy. Everyone's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, it's wonderful. I'm even sweating a little right now because I'm sitting in the sunshine. I'm like, oh, it's so nice. You just have to make sure you stay hydrated. Anyway, Sylvester, he fell in love with a Latvian girl. Oh, I was going to say in Hungary, 6% of the population has taken the Silva method. It is extremely popular in Hungary for whatever reason. So Sylvester fell in love with this Latvian girl who was in Hungary, and then she finished school and she went back to Latvia, and he's like, I love this girl, I want to follow her, but he doesn't speak Latvian. He doesn't speak the language. I think it's Russian or Latvian were the two options. He didn't speak either one. But he kept doing the Silva method and envisioning his life there, and he kept looking for a job, and this one job kept popping up, and it wasn't one he was capable to use, but he convinced the HR person to let him come in and interview to see if he fit anywhere else in the company. And he wasn't prepared for the interview because he was just supposed to meet with her, and he came along and he was still like off the plane, backpack, t-shirt, shorts, like he wasn't ready for a formal interview. And the receptionist said, oh, she's not here today, but the general manager is going to meet with you. And he's like, what? Anyway, he met with him and they talked for a long time, did a tour of the plant and all this, and they loved him and they hired him for a different role. He didn't speak the language, and it wasn't something he had experience in, but he did it. So what you want to do is when you're in alpha, rehearse, and then when you're in beta, act. Right? And then we practice the hero pose, which I'm not in a position to try right now, but you know, it's the same as the Wonder Woman or the Superman pose. And the last time I did this, I stood up and I stood back and did it, but I don't know if I can do that here. Maybe I can do it here. Maybe I can do it here, but I'll have to turn the camera to my beautiful garden because I'm in the front, because the kids are in the pool in the back. I shouldn't call them kids. My daughter's in university. Oh my gosh, I can't even see the screen now, so I don't even know if I'm on the screen. So you want to do hero pose. And it's amazing how confident you feel when you're doing this. I just hope I'm on the camera. I can't see nothing. Okay. Well, we just hope that worked. Yeah, so I'm just sitting on the front step. Enjoying my garden. Yeah, my garden, it's 2 years in. We had to we redid the whole front of the house. We fixed the steps. The steps were broken, the patio, the walkway was broken. So we ripped everything out. We moved things around. Oh, thanks for letting me know it worked. And so we put in a new garden, and it's probably, I'm guessing with all the work we've been doing, it's probably going to take 4 full summers before it's where we want. Because, you know, plants have to have time to grow, and some things we put in didn't like where they were living. And so it'll work out. Okay, so we discussed the hero pose. Try it sometime. Just try the hero pose and see if you feel different. It's amazing. So if you're ever not feeling confident, or there's a situation you're a little nervous about, just do the hero pose. Maybe even if you're in the washroom, so no one can see you, or down the hall around the corner, just do it and breathe into it a few minutes, and then take that confident energy and walk out. So he talked about another woman, Gabriela Domakosh. She's an author. I believe her book's only in Hungarian though. She's tiny, but she wanted to play basketball, so now she's not clearly going to be a basketball player, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy the sport. And so she ended up joining a local team, like a, you know, like in like a YMCA type thing. And because she was so tiny, she would get the basketball and be able to zoom around and then pass it to the taller players that would get the basket. So she wasn't getting the baskets, but she was participating and having fun. So you don't always have to, you know, you can embody some of it, but you just have to maybe change it for whatever your fate is. Like, she was fated to be tiny, like 4'11" or 5 foot. She's not, you know, 6 foot, but it doesn't mean she can't play basketball. So the question is, so if I want to play basketball, how do I do that with what I have and where I am? And she did it. Then he showed a Matrix video clip. Do you remember in the Matrix, the scene where in the white room and Neo's hair was different and he was talking about this is real and that's not, and you can go back, and so it's all that. So life is a blank sheet. What would you like to create? There are no limitations. Now, right after I say there are limitations, because yeah, my daughter's 4'11" too. But you know what's amazing is Simone Biles, I found out, is 4'8". And if you've ever seen those Home Depot skeletons, they're 12 feet high. She jumps as high as those skeletons, and she's only 4'8". So, right? Oh, someone's posted, I recently manifested a sport team for my mom. Yes. So there are limitations in your physicality, in the sense of, you know, I can't decide to be, you know, a 25-year-old male. That's not going to happen. I'm 57, female. Like, you're not going to change. I mean, I can change my hair color. I can get a nose job. You know, I can whiten my teeth. I can get, you know, implants or whatever. You can change some stuff. I can hire a personal trainer and buff up. So you can change some things, but I'm not going to become 5'7", right? I'm not going to become 25 years old. So there are limitations, and there's not. So you have to work within that. So we were asked to have a 1,000-year goal. I was really struggling with that exercise. If so, what is it? So I did write this: to help humanity realize we're all one and act like it, while we're with love, while having fun. That's what I said my goal was. And then I wrote down that Stephen has props for every example, which I thought was fun. He has hats, a vest, glasses, little boxes. He made a game out of a book and a $20 bill to really get people thinking. It was really funny. So props when you're presenting. I've been a Toastmaster for 18 years. I highly recommend it if you have to give presentations, if you do live streams, if you do anything where you talk to people. I highly recommend Toastmasters. It's great. It teaches you presenting, but you also learn leadership skills, and you also learn evaluation and listening skills. So one of the things I wrote down, and one of the things you learn to use, is props as part of your presentation, because it adds interest and it helps illustrate whatever you're talking about, and people get your point faster depending. If you're interested in Toastmasters, my club is Lunchtime Talkers. We meet online, Zoom. We have a hybrid meeting the very first Tuesday of every month. We're on summer schedule, so there won't be a meeting tomorrow. But back September 3rd, yeah, that's the right date, in person and online, and then every Tuesday until Christmas. It's from noon to 1 Eastern Time. So just DM me if you're interested in coming to Toastmasters and just see what it's all about. It's when you're a member, when you become a member, you do have to pay, your fee. But if you are just, if you just want to check it out, it's free. And we tell people to come as many times as they want before they're comfortable, and check out other clubs. Like, there might be clubs close to you. It is a global organization, and they just passed their 100th, or was it this year, their 100th? I think this year is their 100th anniversary. So there's something to it if it's been around 100 years. That's why the Silva Method is extremely popular as a program, because if it didn't have any meat or substance to it, it wouldn't still be around. And if you look at all the other self-help programs out there, they all have a tiny piece of Silva in them. It's really fascinating when you take the Silva Method and you can see, oh, that looks like a course I took here. That looks like that book I read there. Because Jose launched this in the 60s, and it's coming up on its 60th anniversary. Well, again, it wouldn't have stuck around and been in so many countries, taken by 12 million people, if it didn't have any legs, right? So we talked about how do you want to feel, clarity about the emotions. So he said there's 5 steps to creating solutions. 1, you acknowledge the problem. You can't fix what you don't look at. 2, you establish a goal or outcome. 3, you make a plan or a strategy. 4, you actually take action. You know, I'm also the contest queen, and people say, well, how do you win so many giveaways? And I tell them how to enter. And I give them an outline, and I spend an hour a day, and I do all this stuff, and they go, that's so much work. Well, you want the reward without any of the work. You know, it's like me saying, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I don't want to change my diet. I want to get super fit and strong, but I don't want to go to the gym at all. It doesn't work like that. Right? And then you get to claim it. Right? And it's consistency over time equals results. That one was me. Oh, I went a trip to Colorado Springs when I was 10. You know, I say everybody has a winning story. You won't believe the number of people that don't enter sweepstakes on a regular basis but have a winning story like that. So you want to have a burning desire. You have to believe it's true, and then you have to claim it or receive it. It's all there is to it. So then we re-reviewed Mirror of the Mind. Or is this the winning? I didn't highlight this, so I can't remember. Usually I highlight the section in blue, and I forgot. So you want to only imagine the problem once, and then you move it to the left, and then you vividly imagine and you want to kind of make it dull, kind of gray, not very exciting, the problem. Move it to the left. I guess if I'm on video, well, this is my left, but you might see it as right. I don't know how that works. And then you vividly imagine your desired outcomes. You want to see it, hear it, taste it, feel it, smell it. You want it to be bright, and you want it to be almost 3D, like you could step inside of it. Some people don't look at their Mirror of the Mind solutions in third person. They look at them in first person. So you can do whatever's comfortable for you. Some people see it as a movie, like a big movie screen, and some people see it as an immersive experience. So the frame on the problem is blue, and it's a low vibe, and the frame on the solution is white, and it's high vibe, and you want it to have all the colors and be bright. I plan to write a book called Winning is an Inside Job, because everything I desire is already inside of me. Just like Dorothy and her ruby slippers, you know? There's no place like home. When she meets the fairy at the end, and she says, but dear, you always had the solution. Just click your heels 3 times. She had the ability. She didn't know it. It's just like you. Don't focus on things. I wrote this. Focus on experiences and feelings. Excitement is in the creation stage. Be selfish. So, for example, I was looking to create something, like maybe a retreat center, and then I was talking to Ken, and he said to me, Ken Casilla, the other Silva, he's the longest teaching Silva instructor. He also learned from Jose. He was also the international training director at one point with Silva. Like, he's just amazing. Anyway, he said to me, maybe that's not the right thing. What you should be focusing on is what you want to do. And then that could happen anywhere. So, for example, what I want to do is actually inspire people to start doing inner work, because it's not that scary. I want to spread joy and fun. Right? Those are the 2 I have on my list so far. I know there's more. I'm working on it. But that's the fun of it, right? I get to work on it. So then, maybe I end up hosting retreats similar to Joe Dispenza, where he has it in Cancun. He doesn't have a retreat center. He has a resort that he uses in Cancun, and everyone goes and pays their own resort, and then they come to his thing. So Yeah. Oh, the comment is, yes, I want people to know how much fun manifesting can be and how addictive it is. I say that about winning prizes. I call it contest crack. That's so funny. So I might be doing it like Joe Dispenza, where I have a retreat and people come, or I do it with somebody. Like, what if I ended up working with like Mind Valley, who has they put on these big events and people come to them, and then I just be like one of the teachers on the ticket, I guess is the right term for it. So I'm not going to focus on the thing. I'm going to focus on how I want to feel and what I want to accomplish. And those are intangibles. And so I'm focusing on the intangibles, and then I'm going to see how it comes. Yes, my mom used to make me stand there and play lottery tickets because I would win all the time. That's so funny. And then we actually did a Mirror the Mind exercise where I did that. And it's funny because Steven then said he actually picks the dates for his events around the full moon, because he notices when there's a full moon, there's a lot more energy, and his events are better attended. Everything's a mirror, right? So, so I have here, what do I have here? So then I was writing some notes on, I wonder what Helene's goals were and what her Mirror of the Minds were like. And unfortunately, she's not here to ask. I was told I could ask her. I need to get more comfortable with my intuition and talking to her. Then we talked about faculties of genius, because Jose believed we were all geniuses. And we talked about imagination and visualization and memory. So aids to memory are attention and repetition, focus, interest and exaggeration, goals, your mental screen, and interactive devices like maybe we're doing like right now. Yeah, just speak to her like she's in front of you. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a series on money manifestation where everybody sees people on the internet and influencers and think, oh, they're so successful, they're wealthy, they assume everything. But we are messy humans just like everybody else, and we go through cycles. And right now, I'm in a down cycle. It's been up and down and up and down. And so I've had a bit of a block on income versus outgo. So I had a reading by Sarah Jordan, and I'm gonna go through it because she doesn't give it to you she's not like a regular reader where you sit and you talk and you get a recording or something. You ask her a question, she sits and she gets the answer, and then she sends you a report, which is kind of cool. Oh yes, I had a manifestation I had to clean up. Oh, I've done a few of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this with everybody, and we're going to work on it together, because one of the things I got in the manifestation on day 4 was helping others helps yourself, and helping yourself helps others. And it's like a circle for me. So if I go through that to help myself, I'm going to be helping others. And as I help those others, I'm helping myself. Right? Oh, someone said, damn, sups, Grandma. Well, sadly, I don't have any grandkids. My boyfriend has grandkids, but I don't have any grandkids. My daughter's still in university. Well, I guess she could have kids, but that's not her path at the moment. She's a creative. She's in illustration. I'm very proud of her. She's at one of the top art schools in Canada. So we all have subjective points of reference. Now I can't remember what that means. Sometimes that's funny when you're taking notes out of a class. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Oh, why will this end? Oh, I have to do a little thing. Verification complete. Okay. Yeah, yes, everyone is you pushed out, so helping others will always help you. Oh, your grandson went to first day of school today. Yeah, where I live, school doesn't start till the 3rd or the 4th, depending on the grade. But then we also don't finish till the end of June, so it all works out. Then we talked about the Fantastic Voyage, the movie, about how, you know, people shrank. And then we did a meditation, and we went from macro to micro, which was really interesting. So it was helping us remember that we're multidimensional, non-local, and interconnected. And in the meditation, one of the things you do is you can zoom in, or do this to zoom in, or zoom out and do this while you're in the meditation. And it's kind of like, they originally used to just do this, but now with the smartphones, we're used to doing this. Like, so we can add, they added that in. And Stephen reminded us that this, as in the Silva method, is an experiential program, which means as you're taking it, you are experiencing it, which I find fascinating. Then we created our laboratory. But for the graduates who've already created a laboratory, just go in and check it out, add rooms, polish it up, maybe paint a room, maybe change some things. So I did a little, mine's at the beach. Mine looks like an HGTV house. I did a rough drawing. This is only one fraction of it because it's huge. It's huge. So I have the beach and then dunes and then a big patio deck, because of course this is also not to scale, and then a double living room with a wall of glass that can open out. And then there's like a kitchen, and I come down in an elevator because I wanted it at my heart chakra. So when we do the 10 to 1 countdown, I imagine I'm in an elevator. Actually, I imagine my grandmother has passed, but I envision it that it was the elevator in the apartment that she lived in. So I'm in that elevator and it goes 10, 9, 8, right? So I'm coming down, and then I come down to here, this level, and this is where, I'm seeing a pretty light blue house on the beach. Ooh, I've never put an outside color to it. Thank you. Now it's light blue. Ooh, I like that. And on the patio, sometimes what I have out there is a massive stone, like if you look on TikTok, I don't know if they're on other platforms, but I think it's called the Crystal Gardens. They're in Australia. Is it the Crystal Gardens? They have massive crystals, like size of house crystals, like literally size of house, like massive crystals people can sit in and stuff, like huge crystals. They have a huge rose quartz ball that spins on water. So I have something similar, but I could change out the stones, and then we can do ceremonies around it. And we can go around. So we have, so I did some with selenite. My most recent one, I did platinum, like the metal platinum, huge. And so that energy comes in me and all. And then I usually have guests. Yeah, I've heard of Crystal City in Washington, D.C., really pretty from what I've seen. Ooh, no, I haven't seen that one. I have a lot of crystals, but they're tiny. I know people that collect crystals that are much bigger. I don't have that yet. But I did buy from Dark Moon, DARCMOON, if you look her up, the most beautiful natal mala. So it's got the 108, and she bases the stones on your birth chart and then also ties it in with intuition. So you and I could have the same 3, but your stones might be slightly different than mine based on her intuition as to which stones you need. So cool. She has all kinds of them, but go check her out. Love her. She's in Colorado. And these are handmade, like stone by stone by stone. Like you can also buy the mala kit and make it yourself. I don't have those kind of creative skills. I'd rather pay someone who has those creative skills to do that. Oh, you should look her up if you do crystal readings. You would love her. She has the coolest stuff. But again, I really liked so it's based on my natal chart. So it's your sun, your moon, and your rising. So I'm Capricorn, Gemini. And Helene Hatzel was a Gemini. Okay, I'm on this page. So trust the process. Oh yeah, look, I did a little drawing of us around the platinum ball. Again, my daughter, I write, that's my creative. She's at art school, not stick people. I'm Aries, Sag, and Leo, ooh. So we discussed belief systems, and Helene always said, you have to believe it before you see it. And he said, do whatever you want when you're building your laboratory, because there's no building permits. You can do anything. You can redesign it. You can rebuild it. You can redecorate it. Anything. So we talked about all the laboratory possibilities. Like you can use it when you're in your laboratory, there's stories of people blocking away mosquitoes. You can check emails. You can finish a book. And I laughed when I read that. I think he meant finishing a book. But I'm working on finishing a book that's been sitting around for so long that I'm going to actually finish my book in the laboratory, so then you guys can read it. And the counselors that are in the laboratory with you were developed when Isabella created Tom to help her. And then one day she had an issue that she didn't feel he could help her with because it was female based. And then Jose said, well, create a female counselor. And so that's how the male and female counselors came about, was from Isabella needing assistance in her laboratory, and she just created them. And they can be known or unknown, dead or alive, preferably human. Like he said, don't put aliens or angels in there, make them people. Oh, this sounds like so much fun. Neville would have loved, yeah, he would have probably loved this. But again, he's one of the people that Neville Goddard is one of the people that like Jose and Helene built upon, right? Like there was Wallace Wattles, and I can't think of anything like Carl Jung, and then there was like Neville Goddard, and then there was like Jose Silva and Helene, and then there was the younger generation but still older like Jack Canfield and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, and then on them like Vishen Lakhani from Mind Valley and Dr. Joe Dispenza, like everybody's standing on everybody else's shoulders. Oh yes, Napoleon Hill created Council of Folks he used as well. So everybody, and Dale Carnegie, and there's so many, but everybody is standing on everybody else's shoulders, right? Like I wouldn't be where I am without Helene. Helene, her association with Jose helped her fame and write the book. Now, she didn't win. I've got to do a debunking video because she didn't win all those prizes using the Silva method. She'd already won the house and met Jose months after she moved in, but it was also his stop the bleeding technique that she used when she had the accident. So she moved into the house, she had the accident, she learned how to stop the bleeding, she had the car accident, she used that technique to save her life. Was it an accident that she met Jose and learned that technique in between? Don't think so. Okay, so this is the end. So we wrapped up, so we created our counselors. We wrapped up and prepped from moving from the Silva Life System to the Silva Intuition System. Now, it used to be called the Basic Lecture Series, but in 2007, I found this out from Ken, Mind Valley actually helped Laura Silva, along with Ken and others, rebrand, because he's a marketing genius, and they changed it to the Silva Life System and Silva Intuition System. So smart. And then we were reminded to bring 2 psychometry items for the next day. And then we're on to day 3, but that's for another video. Yes, absolutely. Neville says there are no coincidences. There's actually a book by Deepak Chopra called The Synchronicity. Is it The Synchronicity of Desire? Why is it escaping me at this minute? Yeah. What is it? Is it The Synchronicity of Desire? Anyway, yeah, I like Deepak Chopra too. So again, yeah, they all say the same thing from the beginning to the end. There's no accidents. It's all synchronistic, even though we think it's not. And I'm going to wrap that up for day 3. Day 2 of the Silva method. Which show was a godsend? I won't sign off till I know. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Maybe now I need to sign off. I'm outside and there's an alarm. That's my cue to leave. Yeah, off the air. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow. Oh, it was a show on what you'd need for the first plane ride. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's so many sweepstakes in the States. If you go over to my Contest Queen channel, I teach you how to find, organize, enter, and win sweepstakes, contests, and giveaways as the Contest Queen. But this is my author channel, and all things woo-woo. So this is the second time I've taken the Silva method this month as part of my Silva instructor training program. So stay tuned as I do that. Bye for now. I'll be back tomorrow with day 3.